Sharon Watson.
Dominate. 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 Dominate.
Welcome, and we're back with the Prodigal Son podcast. We are found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thank you for your support. My name is Vincent Warren, and we have a special guest with us today. This is my right hand, my ace boom coon, Mr. Road to Damascus, Mr. Henny, Mr. B Wizzle, my cousin, my blood. What's up, B?
What's up? Thanks for having me. I don't want to get a backstory how I should have been on here weeks and weeks ago. I ain't gonna put you out there like
keep
that.
It real, man.
But it's all love. I appreciate the invite. We used to be co-hosts together on my podcast, Road to Damascus. I'm proud of you. See you out here out on your own doing your thing. So it's been good. And y'all keep supporting it, Prodigal Son.
I appreciate you, B. Like I said, I always give flowers at the beginning, man. When I say you been my guy for a long time, bro.
Your big brother.
My big brother, I never wanted. I'm the oldest, you feel me? So big brother was kind of hard to come by.
For sure.
But I got some stories about you. Me and my other bro, we done got jammed up, and you always pulled up, showed up.
For sure. Well, it's because of how close me and your mom was.
Okay.
Because your mom was like a big sister to me.
Okay.
So it was like you would naturally be like a little brother to me, or I would be like a big uncle or something at that time because of how close me and your mom were when I was growing up. And so, yeah, but I've always had to make sure I looked out for my little fellas.
For sure. Even though I'm the favorite grandson. You feel me?
We're not even about to get into that on the podcast.
We debate about that all the time.
We're not even about to get...
How Dawn love me more than she love you.
Okay. Well, see, now you lying to your listeners. So, no, we ain't even, 2 minutes into the podcast,
hey, man,
and
I got to keep it real. Yeah. I ain't no puff it, bro.
You lying to your listeners, man, 2 minutes into the podcast.
But yeah, B, I love you, bro. You mean a lot to me. Even now, with me being this old, I can still call you, depend on you. You the one that if I tell you something, you taking it to the grave.
For sure.
You feel me? And the love for you is unmatched.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the flowers. I love you. I love your mom. I love your family. I love our whole family. Sure. So I love to see us out here shining, doing our thing. We got a cousin who has a podcast as well on YouTube, Nicole.
Yep.
Introspect, check that out. But yeah, no, I've been on her show. I'm doing yours. You've been on mine. Like I said, we were co-hosts together. But I love to get the love. I appreciate it. We chop it up all the time. I try to give you nuggets and wisdom. And, we get on the phone. We can start chopping it up, especially when them Hebrew Israelites be in your Facebook mentions.
Tear me up, bro. Tear me up. That's all good. But I want to tell everybody first, he put on his Malcolm X glasses. He had on the Cardis for a minute. But he switched it. I don't know. He be pump faking too, but we gonna keep that where it's said though.
My brothers. No, I'm just funny. Want a bean pie after the show?
Man, no, I'm straight. I don't like pie if it ain't cheesecake. You feel me?
Okay.
So let's get started from the very beginning.
Yes, sir.
How was it for you growing up?
So, growing up, it was cool. I mean, my dad is your uncle. My dad and your mom are brother and sister. I lived with my mom, though. Grew up on the west side, Boston, Edison area. Then my mom got married, and we moved on the east side, lived with my stepdad. Went to middle school, Halley Middle School. I think it's called like Paul Roberson now, right over off of Livernois. Eventually... was supposed to either go to Cass King or Renaissance, didn't get into those. My neighborhood high school would have been Persian. My mom wasn't playing that. So Grandmere and Papa, loving me the way they do as their favorite grandchild,
there you go.
Took me in. I lived with them all throughout high school, attended Southfield High. And last day, before I moved out to go to college at Adrian College, gave my life to the Lord and been on that journey ever since. But it's funny because I was the type growing up in our family. I used to look at myself like almost like the same but different because everybody's parents were married. So like grandmother and your mom would make sure I didn't feel different. So it's like because everybody when we would do family functions, everybody with their mom and their dad. And even though my dad and my stepmom were married, you know, it wasn't the same like everybody else. But your mom and like I said, grandmother made sure to make me feel as comfortable and accommodating as possible. They spoiled me. I'm not gonna lie.
So like we connected because you went to Southfield and graduated in 1930.
1931.
I went to Southfield. We both lived with Dolph for a substantial amount of time.
Yes, sir. Both got a lot of wisdom from Papa.
But wisdom and discipline.
Yeah, for sure.
You feel me?
For sure.
Everybody, we got it to clean it from Dolph.
Yes.
So it was like, I think that's, even thinking about it now, we kind of jailed because how we grew up was kind of.
Well, remember, too, when I lived with Grandma and Papa, y'all lived not that far. So when Papa would come over there and do stuff for your mom, I was always with him. Or when Grandma wanted to take your mom somewhere, I would go. And then once I started driving, it was like, all right, Brock Stephen, go do this for your Aunt Cindy, go do that. Or I would do something for your mom, do something for your dad, you know, things like that. So
you remember them bakery runs Papa used to do? It had the lemon cookies hot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He would buy the Wonder Bread, buy a couple packs, keep some in the freezer. And, I remember all of that. Papa would come fill the gas tank up at that BP right around the corner from the house for your mom. So, yeah, I remember all of that. There was always a connection there. And Miss Papa.
For sure, that was my guy.
Oh, yeah.
You see him on my chain, you feel me? That man, he showed me what it took to take care of a household.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? He taught me how to work.
For sure.
Taught me how to pray.
For sure.
Because if he wasn't going to do nothing else, he was going to work.
And he was going to pray. Yeah, for sure.
Especially remember on New Year's Eve, if you was in the house, where was you going to be at?
Wait.
When he prayed on New Year's Eve.
Oh, if he was praying, you was going to be praying with him.
For hours.
Yeah, he wasn't going, he would go in the room about 11:30 from what I remember, maybe 11:15 when I stayed there. He'd just go in there and wouldn't come out till after midnight, or you'll hear him down there snoring after a while. So, yeah, for sure.
When I was staying there, he used to go in the living room. If you was in the house, I remember I had one of my homeboys. This was I was a little older, probably about 16. My homeboy came over. We was about to go out. He like, you gonna pray before you go? He like, dang. He like, tell your friend to come down here too.
No. You know, and I know you remember this. When I lived with them, he used to watch Dr. Jack Van Imp. And Dr. Jack Van Impey, all he would talk about is end-day prophecies. Bro, I'm out here trying to do my thing. I don't want to hear about no end-day prophecies. You know what I'm saying? It had me scared that the rapture was going to happen every day.
As soon as you step out of the house, if you weren't right, you weren't going to make it.
Yeah, I always made a joke when I was younger. I would go to the room after I've been out doing God knows what with God knows who. And if I put my ear to the door and I heard Papa snoring, I'd be like, I ain't missed the rapture yet.
That's a fact.
I still got time.
I thought it was only me. That's a fact.
I still got some time.
We got a couple more hours.
Right. I still got some time. I could go here and repent for what I was doing. And, so that was my key to making sure I was living right, was putting my ear to the door like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm good. I'm good.
So you kind of switching gears. What was high school like for you, Southfield?
High school was cool. It was okay just because I didn't go to middle school out there or elementary school, so I didn't know a lot of people. So I had to kind of mingle and meet and things like that. So I would say I have people that I still talk to from high school, but I don't say I have like best friends and lifelong friends. But high school was cool. I mean, I played football, varsity for 3 years. It allowed me to be able to play college football at Adrian. It was Division III, but it's still college football. I always tell people only 5% of high school football players even play college football. So I had that opportunity. I think it was important for me at the time, not just but to see a different way. Going to school in Detroit, I was fortunate enough to go to good schools in Detroit, but when I went to Southfield, it was like a culture shock because you seeing all these upper middle class black people. So it's like you go to the school parking lot, Jaguars. I'm like, wait, students driving these cars?
Yep.
You know, so it was like it was crazy. I remember, it's funny, it just made me think of it. Back in the day, it was a car called a Contour, and they had a Contour GT, and I wanted that Contour GT so. Or was it, no, it's not a GT, a Contour SVT.
Okay.
I wanted that so bad, and he was like 3 students that had. I used to be like, man, you know. So it was like when my time to drive, that's what I want, and I ended up getting that Cuddy. Remember the Cuddy?
I remember that.
The burgundy Cuddy.
Yeah, that was clean though.
Oh
too,
yeah,
for
no,
sure.
it was real clean, Cutlass Sierra. But no, I loved it at Southfield. How I graduated, 1999, and then of course 2 months before my graduation, I found out that I was going to be a father. So
We'll talk about that.
yeah, but yeah, I had a good time there, living with, like I said, living with Grandma and Papa, walking to school, playing football. Got to play in the Silver Dome a couple of times in games, not for state championships, but we would have these classics where we would get to play at the Silver Dome. So things I probably wouldn't have got the experience if I didn't go to Southfield High.
Okay. So you said you found out you was becoming a father, what, at your senior year?
Yeah, 2 months before graduation.
And how was that?
Oh, I thought my life was over. I remember still to this day, and this still the connection. First person I told was your mom. Mm-hmm. I get to the house, and she happened to be at Grandma and Papa's cleaning up. And I went in the room. She was in the bathroom across from my room. It's like, can I talk to you for a minute? She came in the room. I just sat on the bed and started crying. She was like, she pregnant, ain't she? My life is over. I'm 17, about to be 18 in that June. I'm not ready to be a father or a dad. My then girlfriend, now wife, was a junior. Mm-hmm. So she still had a whole nother year of high school left. So it was kind of like, oh, we can't do this. We got to find a different way, you know? So that was my mindset and my mentality at the time, because I knew I wasn't ready to be a father, even though I was doing things that adults do.
For sure.
And that was the end result. But I'm 25 years later. Noah, he'll be 25 in January. Love him to death. That's my guy. That's my boo-boo right there. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was funny. I always tell people when Noah was younger, I used to, like, say around his first couple years here, I used to tell people, I love my son to death, but if I could do it all over, he wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. But when he got about 4, I changed that because I knew I wouldn't be the man that I needed to be if he wasn't here. Because the reason that I did decide to give my life to the Lord was because just to be a better father. That's literally the only reason I was like, I mean, it wasn't because I wanted to stop messing with women. I didn't drink. You know me. I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a smoker. None of that. The only issue I had was with that flesh with them women. Mm-hmm. But I needed to be a better dad, and I knew the only way I can be a better dad was to submit my life to God. So that's why I, like, literally the night before I was leaving for school, gave myself to the Lord. August 17th, 1999.
Okay.
So that's coming up, my anniversary.
That's good.
Yeah, got to remember that date.
You a good dad though.
Oh, sure. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Dad.
Even when Noah was in school, every function, taking him to every camp, and just having to provide for your own house and do all that, that's can be a bit much.
Oh yeah, well, I was a statistic from the standpoint of being a teenage father, but I didn't want to become a statistic as far as not taking care of my children, having children that end up in poverty, children who don't know who their dads were. That was never an option for me, any of that thing. So I decided to step up. And I wanted to be the dad that I thought I wanted my dad to be. Because my parents weren't married, and I wanted my dad around more. And my dad was an excellent dad. But, you know, you still, when you don't grow up with him in the house, you have a certain kind of feeling and expectation that you want him in the house. So I tried to be that dad. And sometimes I probably spoiled Noah a little too much, but I mean, it was well worth it. He was a great kid, very good athlete, played high school football at one of the top programs in the state, Farmington Hills Harrison, even though the school is closed down now, starting quarterback. And like you said, I remember the camps, waking up on Saturday mornings, taking them to private coaches, we went to DC, we went to Virginia, we went to Indianapolis for all these camps, and he was getting scholarship offers and things like that. And I enjoyed the ride, taking it with him, But to me, those were the things that I would have wanted for me as a dad. And so I decided, I had to do what I wanted to do, and my prayer, and God honored that, because the week before Noah was leaving for school, he got baptized. And, he's still on his journey with the Lord. But, so I just looked at it as God honored the things that I did before Noah got here.
So was it tough for you going to college knowing you had a baby on the way?
Oh, yeah, for sure, because I didn't want it to seem like I was an absent father. So she's home, and I would try to make as many appointments as I could, but I'm also playing football. So, and that's where having my mom was important. She would stand in the gap, going to appointments for me. She would be there, make sure Mashonda was good and things like that growing up. So, but I knew I needed to do this to be able to provide and take care of him the best way I needed to do. But it's definitely hard as a parent when you know your child when you're not going to be there as present as you want to be.
Mm-hmm. So how was those college years for you?
College was great. That's where I met one of my closest friends now, still to this day, Ryan Cardillo. That's my guy. Love him.
Shout out to Ryan.
What up, Ryan? But yeah, no, college was fun. I mean, it taught me how to be a man, an adult, but it also forced me, because I did leave immediately from giving my life to the Lord to go to college. So I didn't have a church home. I didn't have that fellowship with other people. So it almost forced me to just be in relationship with God. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading the word for the first time with new eyes. I'm praying with new sense of feeling. And that's where I went on this journey of going from the road to Damascus, from religion to relationship, because I started to read the word for myself and understand it for myself in a way that I had never understood it before. Because, we taught by our parents, our grandparents, so we kind of just listen to what they say. Mm-hmm. But then I started to read the word and get fullness and understanding, and also started to show me that if you live the way you're supposed to live, even if you got friends that don't, they'll respect what you doing and won't even try you. So it's like when I would go out with them, people be like, hey, you want to smoke? They'd be like, no, he don't smoke. Like, they'll step in for you. Mm-hmm. You want to drink? No, he don't drink. He don't, like they would do that for me. I didn't even have to turn stuff down, because they just knew the lifestyle that I live. So that was a blessing.
So after school, did you finish or no?
No, I didn't I left after 2 years, just because I wanted to be able to be there, for Noah, because he was getting older. I was missing him more, and my plan was to transfer to Wayne State to finish school there, but I owed Adrian some money. I had the money at the time to pay him, so I just went into the workforce, and it's funny how things work out. But we'll say, some people will say funny, I'll say a blessing. But immediately once I start jumping into the work field, I'm working at jobs, and I'm getting promoted to manager within 3 months of being at a job.
He ain't lying either. That's a fact. That's a fact. Everywhere you went, I'm like, dang, bro, you ain't been here for 2 months. Bro. You at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, you want to be a area manager, or you want to be a shift manager, and then that turned into me becoming like a store manager.
Mm-hmm. You didn't hire some of my sisters.
Yeah,
you feel me?
Yeah. When I was the store manager for Starbucks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or I would get them jobs at the mall with friends of mine.
Yeah.
Because I didn't always want to have everybody working for me that was family, because they had rules about nepotism. But yeah, I looked out. I had a great relationship with a lot of people. But got Lauren her job, Alicia her job, Lil Sanford got him in there. Yeah, so.
You didn't put people on, bro. That's one thing I say about you. You didn't put people on.
No, I'm definitely gonna look out because it's funny. I just had I currently work for my mom as a manager in her company, and we had a staff meeting. And I said to the staff, I said, how I live my life and my philosophy, even as a manager, and how I manage, is how Christ said, love your neighbors, you love yourself. So that's how I try to approach people. I think of how would I want this to be if the shoe was on the other foot, looking out for me, making sure I'm good. You know, if a rising tide is supposed to lift all ships. And if I'm in a position to put people on, then I'm going to put them on as long as I mean, they got to be people that you know that's going to not sully your name. Sure. You know, I always say the best ability that people can have is reliability, dependability, and availability. Those are the best abilities you can have. But I just try to live that philosophy of love your neighbors, you love yourself. And that's how I've managed, and it's taking me to the top. Started from the bottom, now we here.
For sure, that's a fact. So after you came back home, you jumped right into the workforce, or did you take a break?
No, I jumped right. I mean, you had to jump right into the workforce. My dad helped me get an apartment. Me and Pierre lived together for 3 years. So just jumping into the workforce, and it was like I would I think first job I had, I was at Meyer, then I left and went to Marshall's as a area manager. And then I would work side hustles with my dad, you know, same thing y'all was doing with my dad, my brothers. That's when you was doing some of that work too.
I hated construction.
Oh, no. My dad would tell all my brothers love construction. That gene skipped me and skipped you. And,
sure.
You know, that wasn't my thing. I was the talker. Because I'm the talker, I need to be somewhere where I can talk and articulate myself.
But I tell people, don't get it confused. We know how to do it.
Yeah,
we just don't like to do it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I don't like to cut my grass, but I cut it.
For sure. That's a fact.
So, for sure. But yeah, I jumped right into the workforce. And it just was gradually every job I would just get a little higher position, a little higher pay, and things like that. And that culminated with me being hired at Starbucks. I was at Starbucks for 6 years. Then I left Starbucks to go to Potbelly, which is a sandwich shop. Was at Potbelly for 3 years. Then I left Potbelly to go work for my mom's company, where I'm at now. And I've been with her company now for 9 years.
Okay. So when did you said you got married. So what age did you get married?
I got married at 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dirty 30.
Yeah, so I bought my house. My goal, I've always set goals for myself. So my goal was to buy my house before I was 30. I bought it at 29, got married at 30.
Then you bought the house out there? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a blessing. I was in 2008, we had the housing crash, and that was when everything dropped. So I got my house for less than $100,000.
Okay.
In that neighborhood,
that's great.
Yeah. So that's a blessing, because now what the house is worth and things like that. Because I wouldn't have been able to get a house like that in that neighborhood with the kind of money I was making. So it turned out to be a blessing. But I got married at 30 years old. Then had my daughter Isabel.
My Rolly. That girl. Now you talking about the love you have for
character.
Noah.
Yeah.
You got love for her. She got you around her finger, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, she that's my princess. But it was like, and it's funny because Isabel came as soon as we got married. It was like we got married. 6 weeks later, she like, I'm pregnant. Like, it was like honeymoon baby. So both of my children are by the same woman, even though it's a 12-year gap. I just, in that 12 year, I always tell people I wasn't ready to get married at that time. I still was learning myself and things like that. You know, going through that learning yourself backsliding stage.
Of course, for sure.
For sure.
So I remember in them times, I think we was thugging back then. You feel me? Like, but you was always on the outside.
Because y'all were younger than me. Sure. But I still wanted to. But y'all, y'all called your little BMF.
But no, for sure. But it's like we was hanging out with the other cousin, but you was never like, you was always. We always look at you as the legitimate. You feel me?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like we call B if we need some legitimate. You feel me? We was hanging out with the other crowd.
Right, for sure.
So it was times where we done got it's just some thicker stuff. You feel me?
And it was like these cousins helped us get in the mess, but B will get us out
Get
the
us
mess.
out for sure. But then you would drop us off into the trouble. We get in trouble.
Right.
Man, being at the mess up, man. We can't hang to the point we couldn't even hang out with each other for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. But again, I didn't want to be that family member that helped usher people into trouble. Even if I was doing stuff I had no business doing, I wasn't gonna be the one to be like, yeah, all right, come on, I'll take you there and do something like that. But I definitely wasn't gonna let you stay in the pinch.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember, hope you don't mind me sharing this story. I just remember it was one time. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. Y'all called me up like, B, I need you to come get us right now. I'm like, where y'all at? Like Lobster and Square Lake.
How we get out there? We had no car.
Yeah.
From the city in Southfield. How did we get all the way out there?
And Noah was young at the time, but I didn't want to wake him up to bring him with me. So I literally, y'all weren't super far from me. Noah's about 5 or 6. I literally locked the house completely up and shot and grabbed y'all. And y'all came from these bushes behind this gas station out of nowhere. Like, bro, y'all know what neighborhoods y'all in? And y'all in Bloomfield Hills, bro.
Yep.
Hiding in the bushes. And I picked y'all up and dropped y'all off, just shaking my head like.
I might tell you what happened. It was a party we was at. And you know, one of them, a girl at a party, we was in the basement doing God knows what.
Right.
And the daddy came home going berserk.
So y'all had to
we had to get up out of there.
Quick.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it wasn't no big party. It was
I get
it was like a 2-man.
Yeah, I got you. Say less.
For sure.
Say less.
So we had to get up out of there.
Yeah.
So 2 in the morning.
We ain't had nobody. It was always like, now who can we call?
We had to call on Jesus, and Jesus chose to call on me.
Yeah, but I picked y'all up. It's one of the many stories that we could share, but that one always sticks out to me.
You even came and picked us up when we was downtown.
Yep. When y'all got into it with, yeah. So I listen. I've always had to come through.
For sure.
Yeah.
So then, that brings us to something that was dear to me. Probably was one of the worst years of our lives, 2010.
Yeah. My brother was killed. I mean, the anniversary is actually coming up. He was, killed Labor Day weekend.
Sidebar first. You know why I can never forget about that?
Why?
Because I went to his funeral on my 21st birthday.
Oh, was it your birthday?
September 10th. It was my birthday.
I thought the funeral was the 11th. The viewing was the 10th. Because I closed on my house. I tell people, I remember closing on my house September 10th, 2010, because I left literally from the closing.
I got to look at
double
the
check
obituary because I'm pretty sure because that was the day we all had on our shirts and they sung happy birthday to me at Dawes' house.
Okay. I'm you might be correct, but I'm almost remembering in my mind. But I remember that Friday I signed to close on my house and immediately left from closing on my house to go into the viewing.
Mm-hmm. So,
but no, I just real quick, younger brother, never forget. I'm at Mashonda's apartment and we're arguing, like fighting, like. This was the type of argument or fight where it was like, this is about to be the end of the relationship. Mm-hmm. This was before we got married. And my phone rings at it's like 2 in the morning. I'm like, you hear your phone ringing, you argue with your girl, you like,
up the creek.
Who calling me? Mm-hmm. So you kind of do that slow turn on your phone, and it said dad. And I'm like, why is my dad calling? Now all of a sudden it's like, wait, why my old dude calling me at 2, 3 in the morning? Answered the phone, and he was just like, Jeremy's dead. I was, what? I just dropped the phone. Mm-hmm. And I remember she's like, oh, my God. And that whole night I remember it all, but that whole night, that whole week was just unreal. Because it was the first time in our family, we have a big family. For the people that's listening, my grandparents had 11 children, 50-plus grandchildren, probably about that many great-grandchildren now. And we hadn't had no death in the family at all, like no loss. So it's like none of us had really experienced within our umbrella had experienced anybody passing away. And it was like, we losing somebody and it has to be my brother. And the way we lost him to gun violence and things like that. So it was just surreal and still remember it to this day. But I think it brought us all together closer and things like that. But yeah, so
I remember it's taking me back. I remember that night I was at my ex-girlfriend's crib. No, at the time, this was too late, so it was my girlfriend. I was sleeping on the couch, and I happened to turn over, man. My phone was going berserk. I turned over like 80 missed calls. What the heck? So I remember my OG called me. She like, hey, where are you at? Thinking like, I'm at my girlfriend's crib. What's up? She like, I got something to tell you. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I think it was like early too.
Right.
She's like, oh, Jeremy got shot. So at the time, I know how stuff was moving around. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, what hospital we at?
Yeah.
Let me get up and go make sure he cool. Because anybody that know Jeremy knew me and Jeremy was
for
like
sure.
this. Nobody couldn't tell that's my brother. You feel me?
For
that was
sure.
another older brother that I didn't want.
Right, for
but
sure.
that's what it was. So he like, no, you in the hospital. He dead. Quit playing. Hung up. Boop. Lay back down. I lay back down maybe another hour. Woke up. Phone banging. Stephen called me. He's like, man, just pray. I'm thinking like, bro, what is going on? I'm like, what? Why? He like, Jeremy got killed.
It was like you was in denial. You ain't want
Hands
to
up.
hear. Right.
I gotta go. I told homegirl like, something going on with my cousin, bro. I gotta get out of here.
Right.
Left. Went to dog crib first. Went to dog crib. It was no action. None of them like over there. And then I remember I shot the Pierre crib, and it was like just so surreal. You understand? Just everything was just weird. And then I went back to dog crib. That's when the old dude was over there, and everybody was over there. It was just like one of them things like, this can't be true. You understand what I'm saying?
For sure.
And for us, it's like a brother. Like, bro,
Right,
this was my ace. This is my ace. Like, bro, how? Why?
And it was because he had been helping me look for a house. He would go to different houses with me and things like that. Because at the time, my two younger brothers, Stephen and Kyle, were living in North Carolina with their.
Well, Stephen wasn't living there. He was living there.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was Stephen, Kyle, my sister Ashley, my stepmom were living in North Carolina. My dad and Jeremy were living up here, but my dad was in Columbus at the time doing some work.
Yeah.
So I was so me and Jeremy would kind of, hang out all the time because it was just me and him up here. And, that summer had been a tumultuous summer for him anyway.
For sure.
And so when I got that call from my dad, it was just like me and Jeremy had just had that conversation about, getting yourself together and not being out here in the streets or whatever. But the one thing, and again, talking about how God just knows certain things, I had this picture with me, Stephen, Kyle, and Jeremy and Ashley in it. And anybody who knows me know I hate taking pictures. Hate taking pictures. Jeremy had threw a little party for Mariah, our niece, because he missed her party at Pierre's house. And he was like, hey, I want us all to take a picture together. And I'm like, nah, bro, I don't want to take no picture. He was like, come on. I was like, nah. So I'm sitting at the table, and our Uncle Doug, he hit me. He's like, hey, man. You know how he talk. Hey, man, you don't know if you ever going to have this opportunity again. Nah, bro, what you mean? What, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, all right, let's take this picture. Who knew? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you think I thought that was the last time all of us would be together in a picture? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? So it's just like for God to allow us to all have that picture, that opportunity, because I end up taking that picture and getting it blown up for all of us during the week of the service. But yeah, it's just to think about that kind of stuff and how God allowed us to have that picture and that moment just a few weeks before he.
So I didn't tell many people that, but like I said, the week before, I put up on Longfellow. Bro was down the street. First of all, I'm like, bro, why are you hanging with these cats, bro? Like, you been over here for all these years. We ain't never see you kick with these cats. But I put up over there, and he like, what you doing for your birthday? My birthday was that week.
Yeah.
Like, what you doing for your birthday? I'm like, man, we could, it's whatever, it's up. We can hang out with that, whatever. He like, man, no, bro. Let's go out to eat. Like, bro, you getting older. Let's go out to eat. Stuff changing, whatever, whatever. I'm thinking like, all right, bet. Let's go to MGM, have dinner, whatever, whatever.
Right.
On some getting older type kid.
Right.
So I remember he was on my passenger seat, on the passenger side, talking to me. He walked around the car, he stopped, and he looked back, like, V, I love you. And I was like, kind of like sat there for a minute, like, I didn't come from a family who said that often.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was kind of weird to me, like, the old dude and them used to say it, but it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But for him to be like that, I just like was like, what? I love you too, but it's like, it was like something like, bro, it was weird.
For sure.
So then that week, and he passed, I'm thinking like, bro, that was crazy.
Yeah. Well, all of that stuff starts to like a puzzle where it's like God knew, even though we didn't know. And he allowed each of us to have a moment that we can all hold on to. That even though that person won't be there anymore, you still had that moment to be like, I had that last conversation. I had that last I love you. I had that last whatever. And for me, it was a little harder because me and Jeremy weren't talking. I mean, we were talking, but I was upset with him because he owed me some money because I was getting a house. And anybody who knows when you buy a house, they don't want you having large sums of money moving in and out of your account. And I had loaned him some money to help him out in a little legal situation. He didn't pay me back my money, but then I found out he had bought that Delta 88 and got that paint job. So it was kind of like, bro, you know you owe me some money. Yeah. And you out here doing whatever. So I was just kind of upset with him. So that Sunday, he called me that morning on my way to work. And it was the holiday because it was Labor Day was that Monday. So he called me that Sunday and I was working because I wasn't going to work the next day. And I was supposed to be going to Cedar Point that next day. And I was a little short with him on the phone. And one thing me and my siblings do when we hang up, we're like, all right, I love you. But I didn't say it to him because it was just like, I'm mad at him. But it was like, I didn't get to say it. So it was just kind of like, I thought about all of that kind of stuff.
But he knew though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying that for a minute kind of
One thing that we did talk about the other day when you put up, Jeremy was the type, he could be mad at you.
For sure.
But he gonna call and be like, bro.
Yeah, it's almost like how people make jokes about how parents are after they done yelled at you, and then they come in the room and they be like, hey, put your shoes on, I'm about to take you to get some ice cream.
Yep, for sure. You like, bro, what? we just got some whole brawl.
Right. And then be like, hey, come on with me and ride with me, go get this ice cream.
Yep.
I'm gonna take you to get some McDonald's. You know,
for sure. That's how it was.
Yeah.
But that's from people who really had a true relationship with, knew that's how it was.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you didn't know he was like that, you thought it was just malice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, he would go from 0 to 100, back to 0.
Quick, for sure.
Right.
And you couldn't do nothing but give me a hug.
Right. Yeah. And to keep it the movie. Like, all right. And then he'd crack his little joke and it's like, we cool.
Yep.
For sure.
So like how did you navigate through that time?
It was a little difficult for me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was that's when I started to seek professional help, therapy, and things like that because I hadn't experienced loss like that, and so I didn't know how to cope with it and things like that. So you find yourself trying to cope in ways that you shouldn't be coping, putting yourself in position that you shouldn't be to numb the pain. But the thing that I realized is nothing's going to numb the pain. Nothing's going to make you feel any better but submitting to Christ. And at that time, I was mature enough to know that, but I still was in my feelings. And that's what I think sometimes people don't understand is like, you can know what you're doing is wrong. You can know what you're doing is right. But when you in your feelings, when you really like letting that emotion take you over, and that's what I did during that time. So it was about a good 6 months before I really started to get like restabilized. And then, those first couple years, because then the birthday come, you think about them on their birthday, the anniversary of when we lost them, that comes around. You start to think about that. So, or, I'm having my daughter, he not here. I'm getting married, he's not here. I think about all of that.
Can you believe I just cried about that when I had that surgery? Remember I sent you the video? So I was holding on to that for this 14 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to let it, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I just think that, unfortunately, especially within our community, with men especially, we don't have the opportunity to be able to express our emotions in a way that is not seen as weak, not seen as masculine or things like that. Fortunately for me, my dad is, and even Papa would cry. My dad isn't afraid to express his emotions. So me being able to have that vulnerability from my dad, so when I went to therapy, I was able to kind of let all of that out and get it out. And you talked about how therapy even helped you when you started going with your relationship with your pops and things like that. So I just think sometimes we hold stuff in and don't even know that we are still holding it in, or it's still a hurt or a trauma. And that's why I think sometimes therapy is important, because it helps you dig deep into the root of what is
I always say, just because you numb to it don't mean you getting through it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, pain pill, like I tell people, because I'm in the medical field, but pain pills don't help with pain. They numb the pain. So they literally shut down your sensors. So if your back hurting and you take a oxy, the oxy not helping your back pain, is literally numbing your senses, that you don't feel your back hurting no more.
Your back's still on fire.
Your back's still on fire. It's just numbing the pain. So that's how that can be sometimes. We numb the pain with certain things, but the pain is still there, and it won't go away until we address it. And that's even a principle for life. We just can't numb the pain. We have to deal with it. And you had Shonda, who's my co-host on Road to Damascus on the show. She talks about confrontation, and confrontation is important. And I think we hear the word confrontation, we automatically assume that it's bad. Like, oh, we're going to have a confrontation. But there's good confrontation and there's bad confrontation. But at the end of the day, there won't be any change without confrontation. Confrontation of your situation, confrontation of other people, confrontation of yourself, things like that.
But I even see, even with you, like, I know it's not a big gap between us, but I even see that how you've changed.
For sure.
So what was one of the things that helped you grow or get better as a man?
I would say the number one thing for me was constant self-examination. I always try to, I don't want to be one who is not willing to examine themselves and say, I need to be better in this area. I need to be more understanding in this area. I need to be more sensitive in this area. So I would always try to constantly re-examine myself. Why do I feel this way? Why am I speaking this way? And when you do that, you begin to see that, oh, I have a short temper. Why do I have a short temper? Why does that bother me? And that shouldn't bother me. Why am I still holding on to this? So I just always try to constantly ask God to help me see me, so that I will be able to change and not just change for change's sake, but change to be a better man. And I think a lot of times we don't, we get stubborn and stuck in our ways. And I don't want to be that person where it's just kind of like, it's like, well, this is how I am. Well, who you are
ain't working.
Is not working.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I think we sometimes give people a pass and just be like, oh, that's just how they are. Well,
it ain't right.
It's not right.
It's not right.
So we can't make excuses for people. And that goes back to the confrontation. So, when people that I love, that I trusted would say certain things to me, it would make me, instead of becoming defensive, like, what you talking about? I would really examine and be like, and honestly, having children really helps with that, because your children are a reflection of you. We reproduce after our own kind. So if your kids are a certain way, they only learning it from you. That's why you can't say, do as I say, not as I do. So your actions are what they do, not just your words. So your actions and your words have to match. So, because your kids, like I said, they're going to tell you about yourself. Just like your mom, you could be like, Mom, I love you, but you this way, this way, this way. You know what I'm saying? And she can't say you wrong. Why? Because our kids have to be with us every day. And they get to see our isms, our schisms. They study us. And so they can tell us about ourselves. So I think even listening to my kids sometimes has helped me in that way.
Okay.
So that's why I can't wait for you to have yours one day.
Man, I can't wait for it. He called me like, babe. He said you yell too much. Like, bro, chill.
But like, yeah, that sounds about right for you. No, I can see you. If your first one a girl, you done.
But I didn't calm down a lot though.
No, but I'm saying when I say you're done, meaning she gonna have you wrapped around her finger. Like you.
B, I'm selling all my shoes.
Right. He gonna be like, B, I gotta get her this. You got to plug because I gotta get her this Barbie Hummer that she want. I'm like, Pooh, she ain't even walking yet, but she told me she wanted. She was pointing at it on the TV. Yeah. Be like, bro, she got you wrapped around her finger.
Yeah, I can hear my wife tell you right now, she don't need that. All right,
shh. You be like, shh.
I'm gonna keep it at your house.
Yeah, you be like,
at your house.
Hey, don't say nothing to your mom. Daddy gonna look out for you. You know, give her that look. So,
but that's one of my prayers is asking God for a child. You feel me?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I stand in agreement with you right now that's gonna happen for you.
For sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for a little Vince or a little VV or a She-V. Hey, She-V.
I'll be looking like, jeez. All right, Lord. We got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, the best thing that actually happened to me was being a teenage father. I didn't look at it as, listen, I made my own bed, so I had to lie in it. And a lot of times when we get into a situation where conflict presents itself, we can handle it one or two ways. We can fight or we can flight. And I decided to fight. I was going to fight to be the best father I could be. I was going to fight to be the best son, the best man that I could be. So it forced me to grow up in a way that I might not have grown up any other way because that proclivity that was on me, if I don't stop with him, I probably got about 6, 7 out here.
For sure, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? But the first time I held my son in my arms, I'll never forget this. Like, I'm 18 years old and I'm a dad. But I remember holding him and looking at him and just thinking to myself, I'm never going to do anything to get taken away from you because I'm never going to let another man have to raise my kids. So I'm going to control what I can control. So I'm not going to be out here drinking and smoking and driving and putting myself at parties that I can, things like that. And that was how I lived my life because he needed me to be there. And I wasn't going to be dependent on somebody else,
No, for
raising my child.
So like going forward, you end up starting your own podcast.
Yes, 2015. And I started podcasts before podcasting was hot.
That's a fact.
But the thing is, and Lord knows everything, if I would have known that this was going to be the way it is now, we would have stayed super consistent with it. But I was podcasting was super new at the time. But the reason I started the Road to Damascus podcast was because I felt like there was conversations that we weren't having within church that we needed to have honest conversations about. Whether it was, I felt like we didn't talk about sex in a healthy way in church. Felt like we didn't talk about race, topics, politics, whatever it may be. And Vince will tell you, I get passionate when it comes to them politics, but
he be screaming, I'm like, man, be calm down, bro.
Race, things that we know are issues within the church, but we just kind of like let it be a 2,000-pound gorilla in the room and we don't address it. So that was why we started the podcast. It was me, you, and Stephen, and we was at the church in the back room,
faithfully,
every Friday recording. If you go on the first, I think 5 episodes we did, I still have on available to listen to. It's funny when you listen to those and how it's evolved. Like Pastor Kiefer had that little slow music playing in the background as we was talking. I'm thinking why was we doing that? But But yeah, so I've so we did the podcast for about a year, and then we stopped just because our schedules weren't always aligning, and I didn't want to do it by myself because I love to banter with people and go back and forth. And then right around COVID, I decided I wanted to start back doing the podcast, bought the equipment, did everything. And then that's when we restarted it. We were shooting it at my mom's office and been consistent with it ever since. And you know, you came and then you left because you had stuff you needed to deal with, your sister Lauren. Shout out to Lolo. She was on there with me for a minute. Then she was dealing stuff. Same thing with Stephen. But in that meantime, me and Shonda grew closer, and now me and her do the show together. And she's been a godsend to me. Shout out to the rabbi. That's what I call her. But I feel like, you know, still to this day, we're progressing. We talk about topics. I mean, and this is the thing. I don't pretend to have the market cornered on good ideas, but I love to have conversations. And the thing I always tell people, with me, I have a conversation with anybody, but I don't like when people put stuff out there and can't defend it or talk about it in a way. I'm never going to say anything or put anything out there that I have not researched, studied, or have a fullness and understanding myself. 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study to show thyself approved, a good worksman who need not be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. I do that biblically and I do that secularly as well. So if I'm going to talk about politics, I'm going to be able to talk about the issue. If I'm going to talk about church, I'm going to be able to talk about the issues within church as well. Sports, you know how I love sports. I can tell you all the stuff. You know how big of a Michigan fan I am. Go Blue, national champs. But yeah, so I just believe that everything you do with excellence and make sure you know what you're talking about. And that's what I respect about you too, because Vince be like, when it comes to politics, Vince just be sitting there like, ain't no need for me to even
talk, because I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't
and
know.
he'll call me up, hey B, so what's going on with this bank in China and stuff like this? And I'll be like, well, and if it's even something that I haven't heard yet, what I tell you, I'll be like, well, let me read up on that, and I'll call you back. So that's what I try. Even when you started calling me about the Hebrew Israelites, I was like, well, no, hit them with this, hit them with that. Why? Because I had started getting into apologetics, so I understood how to be able to have a conversation with them and what they believe and how they believe and things like that, and tell you, oh no, they just do this and they do that a certain way. And you saw it on videos where you be like,
for sure.
Yeah, so I just believe in doing everything in excellence. But the podcast has been great. We just this year did our 100th episode. You came back.
That was lit.
Yeah, that was lit. We talked about the growth of the show. You, Lauren, unfortunately, Stephen was working, so he couldn't do it with Shonda. But it was a good time. I'm thankful for that opportunity. The show is still growing. And I'm looking for the Lord to continue, because that's my ministry. And I'm looking for the Lord to continue to bless it and grow it and things like that.
Okay. So I know we getting close here to the close. So I got a couple questions for you before we close.
Rapid fire. I'll knock them out for you.
All right. First thing, what would be 3 things that you would give, advice that you would give to the younger you?
If I could go into a time machine and I could see that 17-year-old Brock that just found out he was about to be the dad, the 3 things that I would tell him is, 1, keep trusting God. 2, believe in the wisdom that you're getting from Grandma, your papa, your mom, and your dad. And 3, invest in Google, Microsoft.
You ain't lying. No, you ain't lying.
Invest in Google, Microsoft. Something coming out going to call the Apple. Apple about to blow up. They're going to do the iPad, the iPod, going to turn the iPhone. Even if you just put $10 on it, you're going to be straight. But no, but I would say, and the last thing is stay on that path. Because I'll say this real quick, because I want you to ask your last few questions, but I think sometimes that when the bad things happen in our lives, just like I told you, me finding out I'm becoming a dad, that could have been a detour that took me a different way. But I think that a lot of times we wish that those bad things wouldn't have happened, but those things happen, make us who we are, to be able to have the callous, to be able to do the things that we need to do to be able to achieve certain goals. I always think of the story of the man who did WD-40. The reason it's called WD-40 is because he tried this solution 39 times and failed. And on the 40th time, he got the solution the way he wanted to have it. And that's why it's called WD-40, because it was the 40th time he got the solution the way he wanted to. So if you fall down 6 times, get up 7 times. And I think a lot of times we just think, man, I wish I wouldn't have been able to go through that. But then when that opportunity presents itself, it's just like Daniel's son on the original Karate Kid. He waxing the car, painting the fence, and not knowing he teaching you something that you like, wait, he was teaching me the whole time how to fight. So
no, that's good.
Yeah.
Even the situation I'm going through, I said, like, I think people, when I say I'm tired,
right,
people equate being tired to
you ready
not
to check
having
up out of
no
here,
faith,
right,
or about to quit. No, I'm strong. You
Right.
feel me? But I'm tired. You feel
Right.
what I'm saying? So I mean, that's just a whole nother conversation.
right, for sure. No, I got you for sure.
So the next question I got: if Jesus was standing in front of you, what would be the 2 questions you would ask him?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. If Jesus was in front of me right now, what would I ask him?
2 questions.
2 questions. The first question I would ask him is, it would be a theological question. And it would just be, did the fruit represent choice in the Garden of Eden? Was it just like, not what kind of fruit it was, but was it just a representation of choice? And the second question I would ask him is, when you were literally hanging from the cross and you were saying, forgive them for they know not what they do, how did you have the strength even in that moment? Because you're asking for forgiveness for them, but you also, God is no longer with you when you're shouting out, like, why have thou forsaken me? So even to have that strength, and I mean, we know he Jesus, but still, like, I would just want to know, like, I mean, it'd be 50 million things that be running through my mind, but just it was the main thing, because I always just think about the fruit representing choice, but then just hanging from the cross, and these people to put you up here, and you saying forgive them for they know not what they do. Yeah, okay.
But that's how much he loved us.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But it's just like, but remember, he's like, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Like, I'm the perfect lamb offering, and it's like, why have you forsaken me? But I'm even sitting here, even while I'm hanging, praying for these people. So that's just crazy to me.
No, for sure. My last question: what advice would you give someone that is becoming a new father?
For somebody that's becoming a new father, I would just say there's not enough preparation you can do to be prepared. There's no such thing as being prepared, because what if you get a child with special needs? What if you can never be prepared. So the number one advice that I would give them is, 1, submit and trust God. You know, the Bible says, Matthew 11:7, if your earthly father being evil do good, how much more would your heavenly father do? So I would just tell them, 1, trust in God, and 2, continuously be looking to improve and get better, because you're not going to have all the answers. And sometimes as a parent, we can act out of emotion. But remember that these are people that God have leased to you. I use the term lease, because we eventually have to give them back to God. So everything that I do is, you know, you've leased cars before. When you lease a car, when you turn it back, they almost want you to turn it back like it was new.
For sure.
No dents, no scratches, tires good, no chips in the windshield, or no mileage. So that's what God does for us. He gives them to us to return them back to him in good condition. Almost better than the way he gave them to us. Because remember, we born in sin and shaping in iniquity. He wants us to give them back to him, being able to serve him in spirit and in truth. So just knowing that you have to be okay with not being okay. Like, you're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to be perfect dad today and perfect dad tomorrow, because your kids will humble you real quick, because you do everything for them. And then tomorrow you be like, you don't do nothing for me. if you don't serve.
No, for sure.
Yeah, so but yeah, that's what advice I would give. But before we wrap up, Pooh, and I call you Pooh because I love you. But I just want to say on the show, I know what you're going through. I don't know if you talked about it a lot. I mean, I know you've talked about it, but I'm praying for you. We're going to get through this in the name of Jesus. You know I'm always going to be here for you. I'm praying for you. This ain't nothing but a minor setback for a major comeback. God is still on the throne. But even if he doesn't, like 3 Hebrews said, even if he don't, we still going to trust him.
For sure.
So
before you go, man, shout your podcast out, bro.
Road to Damascus. Check us out. I'm on anywhere where you can find Apple, Spotify, Google Music. Not on YouTube yet. I'm working on that. Maybe I can get with your producer after the show, but I really need to start a video on my show and getting it on YouTube because that's what everybody want to see, the visual now. Social media is Road to Damascus on TikTok as well as X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. I'm on Threads as well. Or you can follow me personally. I'm on everything except TikTok is Brock800.
Okay.
So Instagram, Twitter, give me a follow, give me a like. I always say on my show, give me a like, give me a shout out, give me a follow, give me show ideas, show topics, anything you want to hear. Tell me how much you like the show, how much you don't, but all feedback is appreciated. That's what I always say on the show.
For sure.
But yeah, I thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it. Even though you played me a few weeks
Man,
ago.
it's all love.
But
what's the greatest time to right now?
Yeah, we say, hey, it happened when it was supposed to.
When it was supposed to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me, Pooh. I appreciate you, bro.
This is the Prodigal Son podcast, and we are dominating.
Dominate.